Welcome to the BTS Lover channel, a place where every small detail can turn into a big story, and where the simplest moments are capable of stirring the emotions of millions of ARMY around the world. Once again, a live broadcast became the center of attention, not because of an album announcement, nor because of concert spoilers or long-awaited plans. Instead, it was because of a warm silence, a calm gaze, and an atmosphere that slowly invited curiosity. That night, the weather screen lit up once more. The notification that appeared seemed to promise a casual conversation, so characteristic of Suga's style. There was no grand stage, no dazzling spotlight, just a simple room, soft lighting, and a figure already so familiar to fans. Yet from the very first second, many felt that something was different. Not a striking difference, but a subtle vibration that made it hard to look away. Suga sat calmly as usual. His gaze was gentle, his voice steady, and his gestures relaxed. He greeted ARMY in a simple way, as if speaking to an old friend. The conversation flowed slowly, punctuated by moments of silence that felt comforting rather than awkward. In the comment section, thousands of messages kept appearing, overlapping greetings, expressions of longing and curiosity about what would happen next. But as the live continued, more ARMY noticed their attention drifting beyond the words being spoken. There were brief moments when Suga glanced to the side, as if hearing a small sound that the microphone could not catch. A faint smile appeared, then faded. His hand moved lightly, as though holding back something not yet fully visible on screen. These small reactions sparked speculation. What was really happening outside the camera frame? The atmosphere of the live, which initially felt ordinary, slowly grew warmer. It was as if the virtual space was filled with a softer energy than usual. Some ARMY began to guess, filling the comments with question marks. Others felt this was one of the most peaceful moments they had ever experienced from a live broadcast. Many waited patiently, convinced that something was about to appear. And indeed, without announcement or dramatic transition, a presence suddenly changed everything. From the side of the screen emerged a small figure, completely black. Its eyes were sharp yet calm, its body agile, and its movements full of confidence. Tang, Suga's black cat, finally revealed himself. Not in a flashy way, but with slow steps that made the moment feel incredibly intimate. Suga's reaction was unforced. There was no panic, no attempt to divert attention. Instead, he paused briefly, then smiled in a way rarely seen on stage. Tang approached as if he knew exactly where he belonged. That small body drew closer, asking for attention in its own way. And it was there that the warmth truly settled in. Suga gently lifted Tang. His hands supported the black cat's body with great care, as if holding something precious. Tang did not resist. On the contrary, he seemed comfortable, even leaning in closer, as if asking for a tighter hug and soothing strokes. That simple gesture instantly transformed the weather slid into a space filled with emotion. The comment section exploded. ARMY from all over the world shared their reactions almost simultaneously. Some admitted they smiled without realizing it. Others said their hearts suddenly felt warm, while many wrote that the moment felt more healing than any words could be. Not a few realized that this was a side of Suga rarely seen, not as a genius producer or a charismatic rapper, but as someone expressing affection in the simplest way. Tang, with his sharp round eyes, looked toward the camera as if aware that millions of eyes were watching him. Yet he remained calm, enjoying the gentle strokes on his head. Occasionally, his tail moved slowly, a sign of comfort. Suga, too, appeared more relaxed. His shoulders softened, his expression grew gentler, and his voice sounded warmer. This moment felt different because it was unplanned. There was no script, no concept. Everything happened naturally. And that was exactly where its power lay. In a world of entertainment often filled with polished images, a simple scene between an idol and his beloved cat became a reminder that true warmth often comes from the smallest things. Many ARMY later realized that this live was more than just an ordinary broadcast. It became a kind of pause from the noise of the outside world, a space where silence did not feel awkward, and where the presence of a black cat named Tang was enough to unite emotions without a single word. As the live continued, Tang remained in Suga's arms. Gentle strokes continued, as if time had slowed around them. There was no need to rush, no pressure to entertain. Just that quiet togetherness made the weaver's atmosphere feel calm and full of warmth. The curiosity did not end when the screen went dark. In fact, for many army, that was when the questions truly began. What seemed like a quiet, gentle weaver's live slowly transformed into something much larger, a shared emotional experience that lingered long after the broadcast ended. Social media platforms began filling with screenshots, short clips, and reactions that all pointed to the same thing. Something about that moment felt different. It wasn't just the appearance of Tang, it was the timing, the atmosphere, and the way Suga responded without hesitation. There was a natural ease in his movements, as though this interaction was part of his everyday life, something he never felt the need to hide, yet never intentionally showcased either. And perhaps that was exactly why it felt so genuine. Fans began replaying the footage, noticing details they might have missed in real time. The way Suga's tone softened when Tang appeared, the way his posture subtly shifted, protective and attentive. Even the pauses in his speech seemed more intentional, as if he was fully present in the moment rather than performing for the camera. In an industry where every second on screen is often carefully curated, this moment stood out for its lack of polish. There were no filters of perfection, only warmth, quiet affection, and a sense of calm that felt almost rare. Many army described it as comforting, even grounding, especially for those watching late at night, alone in their rooms, seeking a sense of connection. Some fans began to speculate whether Suga himself was aware of the impact such a small moment could have. Did he realize that simply holding Tang, stroking his fur absent-mindedly, and allowing silence to exist would resonate so deeply? Or was that the point, that he didn't need to realize it at all? As conversations grew online, one theme kept reappearing: vulnerability. Not vulnerability expressed through words, but through presence. Suga didn't explain Tang. He didn't introduce him with fanfare. He didn't narrate the moment. He simply allowed it to unfold, and in doing so, he revealed something far more personal than any prepared statement ever could. For long-time fans, this felt like a glimpse behind the curtain, not into fame or success, but into a quiet corner of Suga's life where expectations did not exist, where he could simply be someone sharing space with a living being that trusted him completely. That trust, visible in the way Tang relaxed in his arms, spoke volumes. The symbolism was not lost on army, a black cat, often misunderstood or surrounded by superstition, appearing calmly and confidently beside an artist known for embracing complexity and depth. Many fans drew parallels, seeing Tang not just as a pet, but as a reflection of Suga himself, quiet, observant, gentle in ways that aren't always immediately visible. As hours passed after the live, fan discussions deepened. Some spoke about how the moment reminded them to slow down, others said it helped them feel less alone. There were messages from people who admitted they had been having a difficult day, and that the live unexpectedly brought them comfort. A few seconds of silence, a simple hug, sometimes that is all it takes. What made the moment even more powerful was its contrast to the world outside the screen. News cycles moving too fast, expectations piling higher, lives filled with noise. Against all of that, Suga and Tang offered stillness, not as a statement, but as a quiet invitation to breathe. Interestingly, Suga himself did not address the reaction afterward. There was no follow-up post explaining Tang's appearance, no commentary on how the moment went viral, and once again, that absence of explanation only added to the intrigue. It reinforced the feeling that this was never meant to be a highlight, it was simply life, briefly shared. This restraint felt intentional, or at least consistent with who Suga has always been, an artist who speaks when there is something meaningful to say, and who understands the power of silence just as well as sound. In that way, the live felt less like content, and more like a moment of coexistence between artist and fan, human and animal, presence and pause. As days passed, the memory of the live continued to surface in unexpected ways. Fan art began appearing, soft sketches of Suga holding Tang, rendered in warm tones. Short messages circulated, quoting nothing specific, yet evoking the feeling of that night. Even those who missed the live felt its impact through shared clips and heartfelt captions. It became clear that this was not just about a cat interrupting a live broadcast. It was about what that interruption revealed. A reminder that behind the artistry, behind the global fame, there exists a quiet world where small moments matter, where affection does not need an audience, but still finds one. And perhaps that is why the question remains unanswered. Will moments like this happen again? No one knows. And maybe that uncertainty is part of the magic. Because if warmth like this could be planned, it would lose its meaning. It exists precisely because it arrives unannounced. For now, ARMY carry the memory with them, not as something to dissect endlessly, but as something to return to when the world feels too loud. A gentle reminder that sometimes, the most unforgettable moments are the ones that arrive quietly, ask for nothing, and leave behind a warmth that lingers long after the screen goes dark. And somewhere beyond the frame, Tang curls up again, unaware that his simple need for affection turned an ordinary, whoever slid into a moment that many will remember not for what was said, but for what was felt.